Imagine waking up one morning to discover that your country is falling apart. This is the story of the Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafran War. It lasted from July 6, 1967 to January 15, 1970, and claimed an estimated 1 to 3 million lives, many of them civilians who died from hunger and disease. But to truly understand how the war began, we need to hear both sides of the story: the Nigerian government's perspective and the Biafran perspective. Now let's begin. Nigeria gained independence from Britain on October 1, 1960. The country was made up of many ethnic groups, but three were politically dominant: the Hausa Fulani in the north, the Yoruba in the west, and the Igbo in the east. Although Nigeria became independent, regional rivalry, ethnic suspicion, and competition for political power continued to grow. Everything changed on January 15, 1966. A group of young military officers led by Major Chukwuma Kaduna Nzogu carried out Nigeria's first military coup. During the coup, prominent political leaders, including Prime Minister Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Premier Ahmadu Bello of the Northern Region, and Premier Samuel Akintola of the Western Region, were killed. Many Northern politicians and civilians believe the coup mainly targeted leaders from the North and the West, while prominent Igbo politicians were largely spared. Although the coup plotters included officers from different backgrounds, this perception created widespread suspicion that it was an Igbo coup. The coup eventually failed, but the military commander, Major General Johnson Aguisi Ironsi, an Igbo officer, assumed power as Nigeria's first military head of state. The Nigerian government's perspective. From the Nigerian government's point of view, the January coup seriously threatened national unity. The government believed Nigeria could still survive if law and order were restored. However, tensions increased after General Ironsi introduced Decree No. 34, which replaced Nigeria's federal system with a more centralized government. Many northern leaders feared that this would concentrate too much power at the center and reduce the autonomy of the regions. On July 29, 1966, northern military officers carried out a counter-coup. General Ironsi was killed alongside the military governor of the Western Region, Lieutenant Colonel Adekunle Fajuyi. Following the counter-coup, Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon became Nigeria's new head of state. Soon after, violent attacks broke out against many Igbo civilians living in northern Nigeria. Thousands were killed, while many others fled back to the eastern region. The federal government condemned the violence, but argued that the country should remain united. According to its position, allowing any region to secede would break up Nigeria and encourage other regions to do the same. It also argued that maintaining one united Nigeria was essential for political stability and economic survival. The Biafran perspective. The Biafran story begins with fear, grief, and loss. From the eastern region's point of view, the killings of Igbo civilians in the northern Nigeria were not isolated incidents, but large-scale massacres. Families fled in overcrowded trains, buses, and trucks back to the east, carrying stories of violence and loss. The military governor of the eastern region, Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, argued that the federal government had failed to protect Easterners. To find a peaceful solution, Nigerian leaders met in Aburi, Ghana, in January 1967, under the mediation of General Joseph Ankara, Ghana's head of state. The meeting produced what became known as the Aburi Accord. Supporters of Biafra argue that the accord would have given greater autonomy to Nigeria's region and prevented war if fully implemented. However, disagreements soon emerged over how accord should have been interpreted and applied. The federal government believes some provisions required clarification before implementation. Ojukwu believed the agreement had been abandoned. As political tensions deepened, General Gowon announced the creation of 12 states on May 27, 1967, replacing the existing 4 regions. The Eastern leadership opposed this decision, arguing that it weakened the Eastern region and transferred control of important oil-producing areas. 3 days later, on May 30, 1967, Ojukwu declared the Eastern region an independent nation called the Republic of Biafra. For the federal government, this declaration amounted to secession and was unconstitutional. For Biafra, it was an act of self-preservation after losing confidence in the Nigerian state. On July 6, 1967, federal troops crossed into Biafran territory, making the official beginning of the Nigerian Civil War. The federal government described the operation as a police action aimed at restoring Nigeria's territorial integrity. Biafra regarded it as an invasion of its newly declared independent state. The war quickly expanded across towns and cities such as Nsukka, Enugu, Onitsha, Owerri, Aba, Port Harcourt, and Umuahia. One of the defining features of the conflict was the humanitarian crisis. As the federal government imposed a blockade on Biafra, severe food shortages developed. Images of starving children with swollen stomach attracted worldwide attention and led to one of the largest humanitarian relief efforts of the 20th century. The federal government maintained that the blockade was a legitimate military strategy to weaken Biafra's fighting capacity. The Biafran side argued that the blockade caused widespread civilian suffering and starvation. Internationally, countries took different positions. The United Kingdom and the Soviet Union supported the Nigerian government. Countries such as Tanzania, Gabon, Ivory Coast, Zambia, and Haiti officially recognized Biafra. Meanwhile, humanitarian organizations, churches, and relief agencies worked to deliver food and medical supplies to civilians trapped by the conflict. After nearly 30 months of fighting, Biafran forces became exhausted. On January 15, 1970, Biafran representatives surrendered to the federal government. General Gowon declared that there was no victor, no vanquished, promising reconciliation, reconstruction, and rehabilitation. Yet, decades later, the Nigerian Civil War remains one of the country's most debated historical events. Many Nigerians view the war as a necessary effort to preserve national unity, while many Biafrans remember it as a struggle for survival, security, and self-determination. Understanding both perspectives does not require agreeing with either side. It means recognizing the history is often shaped by different experiences, different memories, and different interpretations of the same event. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more political stories and histories.